Hello, hi, howdy, hey. Welcome back to ABTG, the only channel on the internet where we try to discover and figure out whether movies are absolute bullshit, true greatness. I am joined today by PJ. How you doing? Thank you for
Hello.
joining me.
We're going to be
Today,
talking about that old movie
that
from
old
weeks ago.
from weeks ago. Yeah, today we're talking about the film. Matt Reeves' The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson and a whole bunch of talented actors. Uh,
When you saw it in Quebec, was it Le Batman?
Le Batman. Luckily, I go to a movie theater where I can see things in English. I'm not subjected to like the French version of things. I used to have to go see movies in French back when I was in France. And like for a while, I guess I just accepted it because that was just how it was. And then I eventually was able to find, but it was like in another city. I had to drive 20-30 minutes to another city. um, and then I could see it in like English. And once you start doing that, it's like, nah, I just can't watch these things in French anymore. And there's no disrespect to the language, it's just the mix is different because they overdub it. So like
Yeah.
if your voice is getting muffled by like an explosion, or if you're like the way the sound design is done, and you've like got a very, I guess, quiet whisper or something. When they overdub it, it's always louder. Like you can tell that someone's whispering into a mic instead of having like the, I don't know how it works on set, but you
Yeah.
can tell it's different. So the sound design isn't as, like, I guess, delicately crafted. Maybe for a Marvel movie it doesn't really matter, you know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know. um but for this kind of film it's important, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Batman. Let's talk about it. This is, in my opinion, the best Batman film. Straight off the bat, let's just say that.
Well, it's
It's- it took me a
it's
while to get there,
it's
but I actually think it is.
it's too goofy and funny. It's too bright and colorful.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's laughing and smiling all the time. I don't get it. The back credit card. What's that about? Oh wait, I'm thinking of Batman and Robin. But look at Batman and Robin and look at this and look at the stark contrast. Look at Nolan's films and this. It's almost like it's more grounded than the Nolan films. Uh,
Yes.
One of the biggest examples is you got Batman Returns. He has the glider. His cape turns into a glider all of a sudden, and that's how he flies. And then in Batman Begins, it's memory cloth. And that's more believable, but it's still, it's bullshit. In this movie, he actually wears a practical squirrel kind of suit
Mm.
that that
That he
you know
struggles that he struggles with, because clearly, as my wife pointed out, like, she's like, he clearly doesn't do this often. Like, this is not a move that he pulls on the regular, because you don't want to be,
I
flying
assume
through a city.
it's probably the first time he's ever had to use it.
Maybe it was the first time, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like stumbling and falling over. He still manages to look like heroic, I guess, because it's still Batman doing like Batman things, but it is more of a grounded take. So
Th-
yeah, this is full spoilers for anyone that's gonna watch this on the rewatch here. But yeah.
that is a great part in the movie, but when he deploys the chute and then like he basically hits his head off the bridge, I guess. I don't know, it's pretty quick and blurry, and he goes tumbling. It was the one thing that took me out of the movie. It wasn't very believable, but at least Batman was like, "Oh, I'm really hurt." Like, but then the next scene, he's completely fine.
Yeah. Well, movie magic, they get hurt and then they're like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that was just the one. That's probably one of the very few things in the movie where I was like, that's a bit strange how that was executed. Leading up to it, the whole Gordon and Batman are in the precinct. The cops are turning on Batman. And Gordon's like, "We got to get you out of here." And then they do that whole thing where they're talking very low, back and forth, and he punches him in the face.
Completely fucks him up.
Yeah, that's. So we're gonna
um
start at the beginning, or
I don't know if we need to start from the beginning. I'll say this. I think this film, and the reason why I think it's the best, or I don't know if it's the best Batman. That might be like a big a big statement here, but it's my favorite Batman film. That's for sure. And I think the reason for that is because it manages to marry the kind of like, I guess, the noir, gothic, almost fantastical kind of aspect that is Gotham. You know, with the blimps and shit, that Gotham, the TV show, was doing, but in a very goofy way. Tim Burton brought his own kind of like Tim Burton-y style to it. And I think, but then like the Nolan trilogy didn't have any of that, you know. And so I think it managed to marry that kind of almost fantastical element with, as you said, a reality or a trueness that was even more believable than what the Nolan films did.
Yeah,
It was I think it was like the perfect blend. And then you add to that, I guess the B plot was all of like the organized crime with like the mob and the political corruption, and then the main plot is like almost like a Zodiac, kind of like, I guess Zodiac inspired, maybe it is, or maybe like
yeah, it was. Yeah,
a Seven kind of psychological murder thriller going on. And it was like all of these elements. Of course, this is not the kind of film that you go into looking for like, I just want to have a fun time. You know what I mean? It's not one of those like, I'm in the mood for to have a laugh or just to see some big spectacle kind of like explosion fights. You know, that this is not. But if you're looking for like a film, you know, that you can really dive into and dissect, kind of like how the Blade Runner films, I guess, are like, if you really like that kind of thing. Um, and so this married all of that together so well that
well,
I was just captivated by it.
visually, uh, the movie has the consistency of dark when they're in people's houses or indoors anywhere. Aside from the end, where probably the best lighting happens in the third act in the stadium because it's stadium lighting. But everywhere else in the
Oh, there's
film,
like these big artificial lights just lighting
yeah,
everything up. Yeah.
everywhere else in the film, it's dark. When you're in like Catwoman's apartment, for example, like there's one light on in the whole apartment, and it's everything has this consistent look of kind of a, I wouldn't say doom and gloom, but like it does maintain that
Well, it's
somber
Gotham.
film noir look. But it's the deliberate choices of always make the movie is nocturnal. You're supposed to experience the movie
Yeah.
through Batman's eyes because you spend so much time in his shoes. And this is the first movie where you spend this much
Well,
time.
you'd assume he's sleeping during the day, or like at least
Well,
resting, right?
it's established at the very beginning of the movie that he's a nocturnal animal, so
Yeah.
he does. It's assumed he has to sleep at some point.
Like they're not gonna cut to him sleeping for 20 minutes there.
Uh, there's a couple of parts where
I
like
would have taken. I
he's
would have.
he's going into the morning and he's still doing the Batman thing. Even when before he goes to the funeral, he's still looking stuff up on his computer.
I would have taken out. I guess some rain. I think
That's
that
another
there
thing
was
too.
a lot
Lots of it.
yeah, and like even when it wasn't raining at the end, it was still water because of the flood. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like maybe I would have taken out just a bit of that. I get.
It's all part of the theme, though.
I know. I get that
The
aesthetically it goes
black
with
and
like
red aesthetic, rain,
yes.
shiny.
I'm wondering if they might for the second film, because like there will be a second. I'm wondering if they're going to maybe change up the aesthetic a bit, or like, I don't know, maybe change the vibe a little to suit a different, like, I guess, a different stage in the life of Batman, like this Batman, right? Maybe they'll brighten it up a bit. Maybe like the mob won't be as present. Maybe it'll be more like, I know it's cliche, but they could make it more colorful if they're going with like a Joker villain, that kind of stuff. I don't know, but anyway, this one, that's the only thing that I would complain about, would be like, visually speaking, would be like the rain. And I'm not saying I don't want any rain. I'm just saying that there was a lot of it, and considering like the big moment was all about water, and you know, there was water falling down, and I would have maybe taken out some of the rain. but it's like a minor nitpick because it's not as if it impeded, I guess, the quality of the film. It's not as if it made it look shit. Like it's not Rain that's there just to cover up shit VFX or something. Like it was a choice,
Yeah.
and it was well executed.
Even the daytime scene before they go in for the funeral, even that was like not dark, but dreary looking.
Mm.
One complaint I have about, it's a complaint, but it's an acknowledgement of the reality of the story itself. But Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, visually, I don't like the emo hair. It reminds me too much of Tobey Maguire, and just such a stereotypical, not goth, grunge 90s thing, because the character is kind of modeled after Kurt Cobain. Matt Reeves has said
Yeah.
as much.
Well, the music is very Nirvana, right?
It is Nirvana. Well, they play Something in the Way, I think, twice in the movie, maybe 3 times.
Yes.
I only saw it once a few weeks ago. But
like tonally speaking, the whole film is in that kind of like vibe, I guess.
yeah, it's like, da-da, da-da, I'm so sad. But there is no Bruce Wayne in this film that we
Not
know
really.
traditionally, and I don't know what, I just assumed there would be a point in the movie where Pattinson was going to be like, hey, I'm a playboy or something. I'm like, no, it's completely absent. And the whole point is that this is year 2. This is covering a part of his career that we haven't really seen. We've seen kind of the Batman Begins where he gets all this stuff and he's starting out. But then The Dark Knight Rises, it's like 10 years later, and he'd only been Batman for like 1 year, and it's a completely different take, right? So this, it's like he's been doing it for a year. He's somehow developed a trust with Gordon. Cops don't like him, and in this movie,
he's been doing this for 2 years.
2 years, yeah. It's like Batman. Like, you can look at Batman Begins as Batman Year 1, and you can look at this as Batman Year 2. Not that either film is connected canonically. I'm just mean, like, in terms of the broad strokes of Batman. This one is like, it's a part of his career that we haven't seen, and he's a little green.
So your complaint is that we don't see enough Bruce Wayne?
No, the complaint was just about the emo look.
The
acknowledgement is that this is not. I came to a point where I'm like, oh, I get it. It's not. He's not supposed to be a playboy. He's literally just this way, in and out of costume, and that's it. Like, there is no Bruce Wayne. It is only Batman. And it's one of the reasons you spend so much time with the character of Batman and not so much with Bruce Wayne, which is a smart decision, because I can see the people who are frustrated with the Bruce Wayne character not getting too much of it, that it's so annoying that it's like, okay, well, they don't really have him out of costume very much, so whatever. But they would miss out if the next film, and I know we shouldn't be talking about like what if in the next film because it's not happened yet, but I think a lot of people assume that Pattinson's character is going to adopt that persona, because Alfred in this movie is telling him like, well, you don't care about your family's legacies, like go up and meet with the people. I'm sure there's a deleted scene with those executives that he meets in the morning. Because I was waiting for that
during this movie. I was like, there were so many scenes that were cut from, like, there were so many corruption scenes, I'm sure of it. There were so many like mob aggression scenes. Like, there's just so much that's been cut out of this, I'm sure of it. I'm sure they were out there just filming stuff. But anyway, sorry, to bounce off.
There is a 4-hour assembly cut, but it's pretty standard for a movie like that. He didn't shave it down much though. He got to keep in like good. Almost 3 hours of material.
The pacing is fine. You don't feel that, like, it feels like a watch because there's a lot happening. It's dense, but it never feels bloated. It doesn't overstay its welcome. You know what I mean? It works well. To bounce off what you were saying, it took you a while to figure that out. Not me, because I have a wife. So she told me immediately, because I was like, I don't know. There's not a lot of Bruce Wayne in this movie. And she's like, it's year 2. Well, there is no Bruce Wayne. She said that this is not Bruce Wayne. This is just some kid. It's like the Wayne kid. he's trying to figure out something. He's being the Batman, and it's gonna take the second film for him to be to like adopt the Bruce Wayne persona as well as and like balance that with the Batman persona. I think it is fine to talk about the second one because the way films are constructed, and I feel like the way this is constructed, it was really meant to be a beginning, right? Like that's how I felt it.
Yeah.
It's the first chapter.
Well, figuring out like that he's just going to be a mopey Bruce Wayne the whole time, that's pretty apparent after the funeral scene.
I would change his hair. I would like him to change his hair,
the second time in the film where he's just like staring at the little boy, like, and out of context, you're like, is he gonna kill this kid? But you understand, like,
no, he
you understand you understand what he's thinking, but it's like, oh, he's fucked up. He's fucked in the head. And here's the cool thing about the film that I didn't think they would go there at all. Is that when you start thinking, okay, well, this is an interpretation of Bruce Wayne where Bruce Wayne as a character, as out of the costume, is messed up. People would look at him and say, like, he's kind of like a Howard Hughes type where he's a recluse and weirdo, and when people see him out, they're like, hey, it's that guy we never see who doesn't do anything. And even the woman who becomes the mayor in the funeral scene is like, what, be more active, basically. He's just like, ugh. once you realize that he's not gonna be that way, and you start thinking, okay, maybe like he's really he's suffering from like a mental condition based on like what happened to him, and then all that stuff about his grandparents, his grandmother killed his grandfather, and then spoilers, and then his mother was in Arkham, and it's like, oh, they're acknowledging a history of mental illness in the family.
Yeah, well, that was an interesting. Is that a take, or is that something that's existed in like one graphic novel or one comic book run? I don't know enough about like the novelization or the comic books.
Did you get the comic in the theater? They gave you a Long Halloween.
No. We don't.
Like literally everybody in the world got that comic when they went to see the movie.
I didn't get that. Maybe Quebec misses out on that shit.
I
saw it late. Like I saw it quite a while after it came out. So I guess maybe every cinema has like a limited stock, and so they probably run out on the first night. Considering there are so many people going to see this thing.
I don't know about anything in the comics I can't make compare. People have said it's like Batman Year One. It's like the long.
You cut out. I can't hear you anymore. I can't hear you. Is it me? Is it you? What's going on? I don't know if the stream can hear you though.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
All right, you were saying it was like what, Year One?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's like Year One, the Long Halloween. People were making all these references to. Means nothing to me. I mean, I don't pretend to, like, I read the comic. I'm like, the last comic I read was like 20 years ago. Like,
okay.
But I did read a bit of the Long Halloween while I was waiting for the movie to start, and I wasn't. No. Falcone was in it, or Falcone, depending on what movie.
Yeah. Falcone, I guess. So what did you think of the casting? For starters, like, going into this, I was wondering about like, I don't know, I was just wondering how they were going to handle that, because the goddamn makeup application, right?
The reaction to Pattinson's casting is just confirms to me how collectively ignorant people can be. It's just like the Ben Affleck. It's just like probably Keaton back in the day. People are like, Michael Keaton. People are always Heath Ledger. I remember people were pissed off about Heath Ledger. Here's the thing. You get a lot of. It's mainly. I swear to God, it's mainly just dudes. It happened with Heath Ledger. I remember, like, back in 2007, I think it was, when it was announced. They're like, everybody said, the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You. And I was thinking, wait, that dude has done like a bunch of movies since, and he's actually an acclaimed actor. He actually is not well. I think he was probably nominated at that point for Academy Awards and shit.
Well, we had a
Uh,
long chat about The Lighthouse. Now it's a brilliant fucking movie. I mean, Pattinson isn't as good as Defoe in that film. Fine, but they're both very, very, very good in it. Like we know that Robert Pattinson is a great actor. Like the no problem pulling off a Batman. I do think they didn't give him much to do. I think his performance was one of the
I
most
just wanted to get
underwhelming. Okay,
I
go.
just wanted to get back to the point I was trying to make about casting. Then you had Ben Affleck, who said he did a movie Geely and he did Daredevil. They're like literally going back to the worst possible reindeer games or something. They're literally going back to the worst possible thing an actor ever did because it wasn't their specific choice. Because I remember there's a stuntman who's been in like the Expendables and stuff, who so many people wanted as Batman because he looks like a Bruce Wayne type, but he's physically can do all the stuff. You know what I mean? I forget his name. He was in one of the Universal Soldier movies too. But and then they completely overlooked the fact that he was an acclaimed director. This Ben Affleck fellow with Argo and The Town and all these good credentials. Same thing with Pattinson. You look at Pattinson's career since the Twilight shit. He's often played mentally disturbed individuals. Good Time. He's an imbecile of sorts. Plays it so fucking well. There's another one called The Rover, where he is mentally challenged in that movie, and he's got a knack for it, right? And what's the other one? The Lighthouse, where he's fucking weird as shit in that movie, man. Talk about the seagull scene. Like the dude is just like one of these out there actors. So when he gets cast as a mentally disturbed kind of Bruce Wayne and a more like psychologically complex Batman, all people can think about is sparkly vampires. Now I do like the
Yeah,
meme about how
the Lost
all
City of
vampires must turn into bats, but
the Lost City of Z is what I saw with him.
oh yeah, I never
And
saw
then
it.
there's this other one. I think it's called, is it High Life? He's in this absolute science. It's like a fucked up science fiction kind of horror film. It was like an indie film where he goes to space with other people, but it's like basically the film is put convicted felons um in a spaceship and go have them do some sort of like recon mission,
It
and
sounds
it's like
awful.
it's it's horrible. It's so oppressive, like to watch. It's dreadful, but he's so good in it. And he's, I guess he's the least mentally challenged, or like not challenged, but
But
like fucked up.
his best roles are of people who ain't right in the head.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne Batman is just like another one in that line. Another casting in the movie is Colin Farrell as Penguin, completely unrecognizable as everybody has pointed out. Of course, doesn't have a big role but has a sufficient role. I'm glad he's getting a spinoff. You got Zoe Kravitz, for fuck's sake. It's goddamn Catwoman. Like, what perfect casting is that? Uh, Andy Serkis is Alfred. There you go. Jeffrey Wright is Gordon.
That
What
was
a
really, really good.
he's the perfect Gordon.
That was really, really good, honestly. I wasn't. What's his name? Falcone, the actor. When
John
I
Turturro.
yeah, when I saw him, I was like, I don't know, he's not charismatic enough, maybe. Because I was thinking, I don't know, he's kind of like a goofy kind of actor to me. Like he doesn't, I don't take him like seriously, I guess. And when I saw him, I was like, I don't know, this is Falcone we're talking about. I was expecting someone more like imposing, someone more menacing, but no, he really pulled it off.
Well, he's one of the best actors in Hollywood. Like he's up there with like the absolute best. And at first, his performance is subtle. It's subdued. When he's talking to Bruce Wayne at the funeral, you're kind of like, this guy doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah.
But the more you learn about him,
God
it's
damn.
like when it gets to the point where you get toward I think
The
it's
reveal there.
the reveal. Well, the whole speech between him. I love how Bruce comes to the club
Yeah.
Before he's been there as Batman, he's like, you know who I am. And then later in the movie, it's the very same thing where he knocks the door. He goes, "You know who I am," and they're like, "Hey, Bruce, come in." They let him in right away, right?
Yeah.
But once it gets to that point where Falcone is like, "Your father had me kill the reporter," like, well, you certainly don't trust him at that point. You know he's full of crap. But he's scary. He's intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's very creepy, and there's a decent scene between him and Catwoman later. It's like the thing about this movie. There's a lot of dark scenes, and if you don't see it in the right theater, you might have a problem. But it's so well photographed.
I'm gonna interrupt you 1 second. We have the Doctor in the audience watching. Hello, how you doing? It's been so long since we've talked. He says Jeffrey Wright is a fantastic actor, and I've loved him in the movie. He's a master being the supporting actor until he steals a movie from the lead. He was absolutely wonderful in Westworld. He's like carrying Westworld. And no, he was really really good. In like everyone did a really really good job. I mean,
I'd like the
Paul
team
Paul
up.
Dano, Paul Dano.
Paul Dano. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God, Dano. I don't know.
I liked his performance. He was good. That's what you know what's scary about that? I've heard people in like mental distress kind of talk that way before,
Okay.
where they're like like it's you didn't. It's a choice that you didn't. It's unique. You don't. I can't remember seeing that in a movie like somebody, but it's a reflection of someone who's really messed up. And there's a lot of messed up people in the movie. Catwoman is probably the most sane of them all, and she wants to murder a dude. She wants to, like,
but then
literally execute a guy.
yeah, but she wants to do that. I mean, I mean, legitimate reasons sounds like a horrible thing to say, but like she has clear motivations for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every character seems to have a reason to do it.
A grounded reason, I guess. Yeah. No, it was absolutely fantastic. I think honestly, as I was saying, I think Robert Pattinson, and I'm not saying he was the weakest actor or he had the weakest performance. I just think he had the least to do in terms of at the moment, like the character that they showed us. He's just being like you understand that there's like he's disturbed in a way there, but they didn't give him like that much to do.
I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree.
Really? So because you think maybe his performance was like subtle and nuanced?
I mean, dude, he's like Batman for 80% of the movie. It is subtle because you got to realize you look at it, watch it next time you watch it, because look at the way he is when he's not even saying anything. Like his demeanor and the way he carries himself, and the way he turns his head, and the way he looks at people, is all like, this dude's like totally in character. And it's funny because
he's always calculating and he's always being the detective. Like his brain is always on.
But even the way he speaks, when it's not, he's not doing we're an hockey pad. He's not doing any of that shit. He's just it's so well balanced. But the thing is, a lot of people might be like kids. I think would be bored with seeing a lot of Batman kind of standing, looking, picking a thing up. Cop says, bah, 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 and he says, bah, 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 bah. You know, it's like, it's a lot of standing, talking, looking at clues. There's a lot of that in the movie.
Yes. Like, that was really cool. I like that. The whole like thumb drive and all of that. I was loving that.
Here's the worst thing about this movie in terms of marketing. They make it look more actiony than the movie actually is.
Oh, well, for example, in the everything.
No, but I mean, they really fucking
like TNG episodes. They make it look like an action show.
There's a hell of a lot of movies that don't give away the good stuff. Spider-Man: No Way Home being the best example of recent movies. But in this marketing, here's what they do. They show the Batmobile scene. They show a chunk of that. There's more of that in the movie, but that's the only big Batmobile scene. So it's like, okay, you're giving away the big Batmobile scene. You're not teasing it. You're literally just showing like the climax of that action scene. So there's no surprise in the movie when it gets to the point where he's going to catch up with Penguin and flip the car over and then walk toward the car.
Okay,
The
well,
funny thing is when he kind of looks in, it's weird. It's funny and intimidating or whatever. Then the grappling stuff. The coolest grappling shot is when he's running from the cops down the hallway, and he goes up, and that's like the best grappling shot in the movie. They give that away. They show parts of the third act in some of the marketing, which I wish I didn't watch because I didn't know about the flood thing at the end until I saw one ad. I'm like, oh, the Gotham Square Garden's getting flooded. And that's the part where they keep showing the shot of Batman coming through the top of the Square Garden and
you gotta stop watching trailers, man.
Doing a superhero landing. But see, that's the problem. They show all the big action beats.
You gotta stop. I didn't watch the trailers. I don't watch
Dude. You can't be one of these people who says it's your fault because
I'm not. It's their fault. No,
because you don't watch TV, so you don't see commercials. So you're gonna get that.
Yeah, that's true.
In movie theaters, do you do what Father does and literally plugs his ears and closes his eye? I would be so embarrassed to do that in the theater. People are like, what's wrong with him?
No, I don't do that.
He doesn't want to see the trailer.
Basically,
trailers shouldn't give away the biggest, most exciting parts of the movie. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I agree. No, I completely agree. There should be rules and regulations when it comes to trailers. Like trailers have become, and I've advocated this ever since like the Clash of the Titans trailer. Trailers are an art form, but they should be regulated. I feel like they should have like a specific length, or like they shouldn't go over a certain length. They shouldn't reveal certain story beats. They should be, but I don't personally. I just don't watch them, and I don't blame you for seeing them.
But here's another thing about
I zone out completely. Like even at the movie theater.
Yeah, I know, but you're 10% of people who can not remember what's in the trailer. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. They not only show those scenes in this movie. Every time the fighting is far and few between. There's not a hell of a lot of the combat. So you get that beginning where he fights the gang, and then you get some of the stuff in the club, which was a clip they released, which is fine if you watch the clips or not. I'm not blaming them for releasing clips. Then you get the end where there's all the smoke and he's doing that cool move he takes the gun, he's hitting the guy. And then it's like, holy shit, they literally showed the best fights in the ads. Because in the movie I'm thinking, well, there's more here and there, but the best, like the whole thing with the gang at the beginning, the whole setup, that's a brilliant opening, man. Like where he deals with the Joker face dudes and that is so good. And they basically showed every single part of that in either the marketing in some way or another, or on talk shows and whatever. Like the whole thing where he grabs the guy and he electrocutes him. It's like zzz. I would have loved to have not expected that. You know what I mean? And they give away like some of the best parts of the movie. It sucks.
Don't watch them. The solution is just don't watch them. I agree with you.
But I know you keep telling me that the solution is don't watch them. I'm saying it's literally impossible because you don't watch TV, dude. You don't watch TV.
I didn't know anything that was gonna happen though. Like I didn't expect.
Yeah, I did. I saw a lot of it coming.
Honestly, like the only thing I really knew was that.
I sound like I hate it, but I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I understand where you're coming from. It's frustrating that trailers do reveal so much and that they show so much, and I'm pretty sure that I don't know, but I'm assuming that a director that prepares like specific story beats and specific reveals or twists, or even just the way he paces out his film and the way the cadence is handled. I'm pretty sure that a director gets pissed off when like marketing decisions are made. Like someone comes to him and says like, "We're gonna market your movie with these explosions," but then you have to understand that people won't go and see it.
No,
they don't see the fights.
Well, I have to interject because Matt Reeves had a hand in the marketing. So.
Oh no. Yeah. Anyway, but okay, fine. But do you think as many people are gonna go see the Batman if you don't like? There are people out there that need to see a Batmobile like chase or parts of it in the trailer to be like, okay, I'm gonna see Batman. Because if you don't, they'll be like, what is this?
The problem with the Batmobile in the marketing is that the whole thing with the Penguin, where he jumps the explosion and he catches up to the Penguin, he tips the car over.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool, but there's nothing that tops it. That you know what I'm saying? The whole thing about great marketing is that it shows you good things and exciting things in the movie.
Oh, and then you get more.
But the best parts are in the fucking movie itself and not in the trailers. Now it's a common problem, but I think the reason it happened here is that there is so much walking and talking and standing around
that they struggle to find the moments.
They struggle to. They wanted to make it look like it's just straight up. And don't get me wrong, there is action. There is action in the movie throughout. I'm saying, but visually, the most exciting parts. I'm like, oh, there's nothing that topped what I saw in the trailer in terms of that particular scene.
Okay.
Like the part at the Gotham Square Garden where he comes through the roof. And he does that cool. It's a CG thing. It's one of the few shots that are like questionable, where he's hitting the dudes in the smoke, and he kind of goes. He kind of like, I don't know. He makes a move. It looks very rubbery and phony.
Yeah,
for just a split second.
Yeah, that often happens in film. They have it's the momentum, or like maybe the way the movement is. Like sometimes in these films they just can't get I don't know if it's like the speed or it's not as realistic as it can be, but it's not this film. It's a very CG, like I don't know, maybe it's not easy to accomplish.
I know for a fact that there isn't a hell of a lot of CG in the movie. A lot of it is practical, but that's that shot I'm talking about. I think what it was it was a good CG shot of Batman fighting. I think the whole thing is I think the bad guys and everything in that particular shot, it's all fake, because when the weird transition of the CG character into the live action close up of Pattinson as he turns to the camera right at the end of that shot. That's the part that looks weird.
So they have a morph or something going on.
They have some kind of weird morph from the CG character to the live action plate, and it seems like it's a nitpick, because if there is like the water, for example, coming into Gotham Square Garden, and like that whole flood, that looks pretty good. It looks like real.
I mean, at this point, I couldn't tell you whether it's like a water simulation that they're creating, or if it's like literally they had people on set and they had a controlled flood. I couldn't tell you if they had like an enclosed set and they were like, we're gonna open like gates, water's gonna come in, and like the people that we have, like the extras that we have, they're all stuntmen. They know what's going on. They all have their positions, and then the water comes in. I couldn't tell you. Right, and then I'd be like, okay, they're adding in debris, like they would CG in the debris. I guess it's just easier nowadays to like render all of it, render the liquid, and then add the debris in sims instead of like trying to piece in debris into like actual water that you filmed.
It's safe to assume that a lot of that in the end is a lot of the most visually effects heavy part of the film. Was that jarring for you to have the movie that's 2 hours? And then he sees Riddler, and he's like, "Oh, you didn't figure out my plan."
Yeah, that was a bit bizarre.
Wall.
It's almost like you finished the film, and then there's like another little plot that adds onto it, right?
A second ending.
Yeah, that was a bit, and then you get all of the Lord of the Rings endings, where like all of the things where he's saying goodbye and I don't know but it didn't bother me to like I noticed it, I guess, like I noticed it when I was watching, but it didn't bother me. You know what I mean?
I know the story needed a denouement or whatever, but the shot when Batman's all dirtied up and he's looking up at the helicopter that's medevacing the people away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing they show in the trailer, like one of the last big shots of the movie. But anyway, who cares? I'll get off that trip. But fucking idiots in the marketing department. But that shot where he's looking and the wind's blowing in the cape and he's all dirty, I thought that I was like, that could have been the perfect time to end the movie because I was right about done. Not that I was frustrated, but I was like, okay, good. We needed a last heroic thing that he does. It's a little anticlimactic because the biggest heroic thing is he cuts the wire and he falls down the water and he guides people out, and he's literally just carrying people and helping like a good like citizen. And it's like I get what that means, like, and how it needs to have that glimmer of hope at the end. And I thought that shot of him looking up at the helicopter was like would have been the perfect time to end. But I understand they need like Catwoman to say, "Yeah, I'm going away and see you later."
Yeah, I mean, I
But
was
yeah,
I was like, okay, I was like, are they gonna do a thing where they drive off each in a different direction? I thought, oh no, he didn't do that cliche. But then you have the thing where he's looking in the rear view and he's looking at her back, from behind. I'm like, oh, okay, they did that cliche,
mm.
but it's fine. No, honestly, I do feel like the big climactic ending, because they had to have this big action sequence, I guess it did feel a little added on, but it didn't feel as tacked on as like the Joker and Arkham thing,
Oh yeah,
right?
I
Like
didn't like that. That was another thing. That was one
I
of the few
don't
things
I
in the movie
don't
I did not like.
I didn't mind it, but it really did feel like I'm sure it's not an afterthought, but it almost felt like, oh, we have to give people like something. Like Paul Dano
Can I tell you about a deleted scene with the
oh
Joker?
yes, but after I mean
Yeah, yeah.
he's
When you're feeling, yeah.
he's in prison, he's in Arkham, it's fine. Like we're intelligent enough to know that if the Joker's not in prison already, he will be there at some point. Like we know that if there is someone in prison, be it Poison Ivy or like it, we didn't need that scene specifically. It was still fine. We just didn't need it.
Matt Reeves admitted to, well, before the movie came out, he talked about a scene with. He's confirmed that this dude is Joker. I forget the guy's name. He's from Eternals.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think he's an Irish actor.
I'll go find his name.
But anyway, there was a scene where Batman's trying to figure out, I don't know, something about the Riddler and like the mindset of an insane person or something. And he
Okay.
goes to Arkham and one of the prisoners he interviews is Joker, and it's shot in a way where
Barry Cogan.
yeah, it's
I
shot
don't
in
know
a
if
way where
that's how it's pronounced,
his
but
he's scarred up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with his mouth, but it's like maybe it's a, what do they call it, that thing where the gangsters like give you like a big smile.
oh yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
There's a name for it anyway, or some kind of mutilation is on the go. But Matt Reeves then revealed. Now we don't really see what he looks like in the scene. You kind of see there's something messed up with his face, but it's based more on the man who laughed, which is what inspired the Joker originally. It's about a man who has a permanent smile that he has a, like he can't not smile. Like
Okay,
it's permanent, and
okay.
this Joker is there's something very unnerving about someone who's just like got
Oh,
this carved in smile that they can't
well,
like.
that's what's unnerving about clowns, right? Like
Yeah,
the clowns are always, happy. It's like, why the fuck are you always happy? Anyway,
but
do you think it's a
you
good
know
idea?
what?
For
But I was
Joker?
gonna say that's why I think it feels weird, that scene, because when Riddler's in the Arkham at the end, and then dude's like, "Rah, rah, joke, joke, I'm a Joker," whatever he says, I can't remember. It's been like 2 weeks, but it seemed like so. It was the one moment in the movie where it's like, oh, this feels like campy Rogues Gallery. I get the campy Rogues Gallery feel that I got in like Gotham or older movies where two classic villains are like interacting and they're like, whoo, we're all kooky and jumping around. It's like, it felt very out of place. I didn't like it. They could have just completely ended it, but it was supposed to be like the follow up to the interrogation scene. I think if they cut the whole Joker thing with Batman talking to Joker
No,
earlier in
but
the
they could
movie,
have cut it early.
they cut.
They could have cut it in half. That's the thing. They didn't have to cut it completely. They could have just cut it to like the Riddler is talking to, like, you hear that the Riddler is going to start talking to someone, and someone talking to Riddler. You don't know who it is. You don't get the whole corny little laugh thing, so you don't know. It's not revealed that it's
Mm.
Joker. It's just he's talking to someone, and then immediately you're gonna think, oh shit, who's he talking to? It has to be someone fucked up because they're in Arkham, right? And they're already in prison. And
Yeah.
I think that suffices. Like, that's enough. You don't have to do the whole I am Carnage kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's so ridiculous. We're not morons, but yeah, it's kind of it feels odd and out of place in this specific film. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The film is so intelligent, dare I say, that to add this in feels a little, I don't know, lowest common denominator. Kind of like we got to show people that we're doing the Joker. Is it too soon for a Joker? Like, would you want to explore like different kind of villains if they do a second one to this, or do you think Joker's
Well,
fine?
yeah, I think Joker is definitely next on the list. Matt
We're
Reeves is
not we're not
talking.
having too much of it, like, because we've got the Joker standalone film. We had the let's not talk about the Suicide Squad kind of Joker that they were trying to do, and like,
Well, Joker's up for grabs now. I mean, I suppose
okay,
by the time Joaquin Phoenix's Joker 2 comes out, if that ever happens, I'm sure they're trying to make it happen because it's one of the most profitable films ever made. It would be you'd have two Jokers then at the same time, but I mean, there's nothing new about having two versions of the
that's the
same
standard
character.
now.
Yeah, you're gonna see Star Trek with like Quinto and Ethan Peck, like, "Hey, you're me, but you look different." It's like, and then I'm done. Then I'm done.
I got a question from the doctor here. Would you both be okay if this movie were standalone and never got a sequel? I like the movie, but I don't feel like I need more of this particular that verse.
Well,
Well, they're
what
in for a
about
treat because there's a spin-off show coming for starters. There's a whole Gotham show. Is it
not
centered
not
around?
only were sequels planned while this was a gleam in Matt Reeves's eye. This they were gonna do a Gotham
So they do
spin-off
they
with
doing
Jeffrey Wright. That's not
yeah, they're
happening.
doing a Gordon. Oh, they're not doing a Gordon show.
No, they're not doing that.
Okay, so that's too close to like the other Gotham that they did. So they're doing a Penguin show instead.
Hmm.
Okay,
That's officially
is there
happening.
another show on the go, or is that just one?
There's been rumors and nothing has been confirmed about an HBO Max Catwoman spinoff because in the end of this movie she has gone away. I don't think she's going to be in the sequel.
No, but I wouldn't make a TV show. I would just make movies. Like, you have the perfect Catwoman, and you have the perfect opportunity to make a female like led show, and you don't have to make it, dare I say, corny and fall into like the trap of doing like the what is it, the Harley Quinn thing, the Birds of Prey and whatever. You can just do like a cool Catwoman movie.
They're said yeah, this Batverse. It's funny. I like the
The
movie, but
bat.
don't feel I need more of this particular Batverse. This is like they're doing with the Batverse what Sony's been doing with Spider-Man, creating their own single hero cinematic universe. Basically, the difference with Spider-Man is that
There's so many
he's
characters.
connected. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like in this, there's no Superman, there's no Wonder Woman, there's no Martian Man that are going to show up.
Wow.
In fact, there
I don't
was
want them in this shit. Stay
there,
out.
a part of this movie takes place in Halloween. I have to go back and look, and nobody's pointed it out, so I have to assume that it's not in there. But the behind the scenes photos of the Halloween scenes in the Batman had like a lot of people dressed as Wonder Woman, Superman, and stuff. So I remember I don't know if it was me and you or somebody else, we speculated that maybe Superman and Wonder Woman in this Batverse are literal fictional characters that don't
Mm,
exist.
just
But
comic book
yeah,
characters.
but you won't be seeing any crossover. You'll just be seeing Batverse stuff, which is awesome.
I got to admit, Doctor, I want to see more of this because this is my favorite Batman film, and it's my favorite interpretation of the universe. Right? I feel like in the same way Arrow,
And
like when Arrow came out, it tried to be everything that this movie managed to be. Um, and so I just want to see more of this. And I love kind of like gangster films, and I love like the following the mob and that kind of stuff. But I also enjoy, like, I guess, the fictionalized version of that. So having like a show about the Penguin to me is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, I do want to. I want to see more. That's
Me and a lot of other people, a lot of other fans of Batman for years, and people always say like I'm the only one who thought of this, but a lot of people have talked about this. HBO doing an R-rated Batman series, like a weekly series. And although the movie isn't R-rated, it's pretty close in some parts. But this movie was this is why it's, I think, in the top 3 best Batman movies ever made, because it not only reminds me of the animated series in some ways where it takes itself seriously in that sense, but even more so, this is the kind of show that I imagined an HBO Batman series would be. But this is just a movie form of it. I couldn't get enough. I mean, I want more of this Batman. I want him to develop the Bruce Wayne persona. And yes, I think if some people look at this film as it looks too dreary and the aesthetic is like a little too much for some, and I kind of get that, but I think for this particular story it adopted that visual style, and I think a sequel could really do some contrast with not a bubblier Bruce Wayne, but somebody who's more social. Like, he's literally making himself sick going out there and putting a smile on his face, and he gets home and he's like, oh, I fucking hate that shit.
as you pointed out earlier,
And daytime scenes.
as you pointed out earlier, 80% of this film is just Batman. It's Pattinson, right? And everything you're seeing is basically almost everything is from his perspective. So I think the film is kind of like doing that. It's interpreting the entire, like, all of the city and all of the people. Everything is basically being seen through his eyes or experienced the way he is. So he's feeling this way. So this is how you're experiencing the city. Maybe if in the sequel he's more open, or he's more out there, or if it, like, fake it till you make it, right? At least he's trying to be a more bubbly person when it comes to Bruce Wayne. Or maybe they'll be able to change the aesthetic, and maybe they'll be able to, like, I guess, make things a little kinder citywide. I don't know.
I think in the sequel you're going to see a scene where he's at a nice party. He doesn't have the emo haircut. He has a nice.
I would like him to have a cleaner cut. Because
I want Vicky Vale to be in the next one. I want them to bring back Vicky Vale. She's a reporter, and she disarms him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's so beautiful and lovely, and he's so taken with her that, like, he starts to learn how to become a normal person. Or to pretend to be, anyway. Hello, Fathery.
Thank you for joining us. I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but he's going to try the Penguin show on HBO. This is Fathery, by the way. He's never really a big fan of all of these comic book adaptations, especially if they're dark, but he tries them all. What did you think of the chemistry between Kravitz and Pattinson? Like the Catwoman and Batman thing that they had going on. Did you appreciate the romance? Are you over that?
Zoe Kravitz is just, like, amazing. So you kind of get these scenes where you're watching her talking really close to Batman, and you're waiting for the kiss. You're like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and then it does at one point. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense, but it also makes sense that it doesn't go further. But, like, I don't know if Bruce Wayne in this version is a virgin, but it seems that way. He seems like he's
he's a recluse, right? Like he's
like Mulder from X-Files.
I've never seen the X-Files, but I'm gonna
go
with that.
You get the sense that the character has never gotten laid before. So.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like I don't know about Batman's sex life. Who cares? But you do get the sense that he won't go all the way with her, and he doesn't. It's like, oh, okay, because you don't. It would seem counterproductive to the story. And her motivations for doing it wouldn't make sense, not with his, because she's so, like, she's just not only distraught about her friend, like, she's out for revenge, and he's messed up. So, like, the kiss is as far as it went, and I was like, that's actually pretty perfect. I didn't like to have an actual love like waking up in bed
It,
together kind of thing.
yeah,
No,
I
no.
agree. And what's interesting about that is it's kind of like you have these two characters that they're really dealing with their own shit, and it's like really big shit that they're dealing with each on their side, but they're both kind of alone. And I guess
Yeah.
they're young, and I guess they do find themselves like they find each other attractive. So there is like a romance or an attraction, like at least a physical one. There's maybe a romance, like uh what do you call it, like mental attraction, what do you call it, anyway, they're
Emotional
emotional
attachment.
attraction attachment because they like each other, like they like who they are, but they're just not ready for it, or they're not in that kind of zone. They have
Yeah.
other shit to do, they have other things to deal with.
There's a great scene in the movie where the best team up between two of them is when he gives her the contacts. And you get
Yeah.
that scene where she's walking around in the club within the club,
Yes.
and it, it's a really well shot scene because you're seeing a very very attractive beautiful woman in a situation with a bunch of drugged up scumbag dudes, and it's no surprise that like when you're seeing through her eyes, it's just leering. It's leering. It's like you feel the eyes on her. Like you almost feel like you're her and you're uncomfortable. Like you know what I mean? Like it's
Yes,
just
but that was very very well done.
well,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
It's
Because
the
it
whole point
would
of it.
be.
I'm not criticizing the
No, no, no,
scene.
absolutely. I'm just saying, like the way it's directed is very good because, like it or not, like maybe as men we don't go through like some of this bullshit that women go through,
We
right?
never go through that. Let's be honest. We never get
So,
catcalled or leered at or
so, so
maybe some
women,
of us do. I don't know.
so women would feel like they maybe relate to this, or they would be able to say like, yes, this happens and it's bullshit. But then it puts us in an easy and uncomfortable position where it's like, yeah, okay, this is. And then of course these people, it's not just random dudes too. It's like it's sleaze bags, right? It's like the worst of the fucking city that's in this club inside the club here.
Everybody's a scumbag in Gotham. Like
Everyone.
like the whole tapestry of the city is mob runs everything. Everybody's bought and paid for.
Well,
If it,
Falcone's the mayor, right?
Falcone is the
That's the whole
king. He's the
thing,
king of Gotham.
basically.
Yeah, it's and here's the thing about the realistic interpretation of the Riddler and how gritty and dark that is. The whole thing about Batman inspiring insanity, I love that because Riddler wants to be kind of like Batman. He wants to be better, really, but his whole thing is like I'm exposing the stuff that needs to be exposed that nobody's looking at, nobody's confronting, and he leads Batman down a path, and it's one of these things where he thinks he's doing right. At the end with the whole flood thing, it's like, okay, now you're just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And Batman's got to find like he's got to carpet tool under the carpet. Oh, here's the plan. That's all a bit convoluted, to be honest. Like it's okay. It seems weirdly tacked on, and it's like they needed some kind of superhero big ending or whatever. But before all that, Riddler's motivations are pretty fascinating, and how he gets like just a few hundred followers or whatever. Like
That
it's so
was really
reminiscent of
good.
like the modern day. You know what I mean?
Yes. So the big scale, I guess, political corruption is something that has been already explored in many films. It was very well done here, as was the organized crime. But the thing that I found really fascinating was his fucking message board, his goddamn fucking rogue ass bullshit social media here, where he's. I think it was clearly like it was metaphorically like right wing activists, like
QAnon or something.
yeah, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. It's like white supremacist chat boards, that kind of shit. I think that's what they were going for, but it was really good because it's really it's an accurate depiction of what happens in real life, and it's fucking scary, right? And then so he's got like 500 followers, something like that. Of course, like only maybe 50 of them or 40 of them actually suit up and then acquire guns and then come to the shooting. Because if there were 500, then it would be like I don't think Batman would have been able to handle that many people.
Yeah.
Um, But just to think that like even one could do this because people are deranged enough or lost enough. Maybe people are just lost. But it is. It's very. It was a very scary and accurate take on the reality that we live in nowadays, especially in the U.S.
I
So
didn't.
I love that. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's great.
expect it. I didn't expect it. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming where he would have like followers. To be honest, in the beginning, I thought it was kind of corny. Even I was like, oh, they're doing the social media thing where he's posting his TikToks or whatever it is. I was like, I don't know, but then it actually ties into that, and it works. It works well. It's very
And
dark.
and that reflection of how people in real society can be so distrustful of the establishment that they go off in all these
Yeah,
weird, crazy
yeah.
directions about like pizza parlors and stuff. It's
You gotta you
with
gotta
the
think though. He's right for like it's not that he's
well,
right about the way he goes about executing the people, but he's exposing things that no one's exposing, right? And it's almost like without this guy, the Batman would have never come to these kind of conclusions. He would have never shut down all of this
yeah,
bullshit, right?
it's
He
true. Yeah,
needed the Riddler to do this shit.
well, that's the thing. He's the QAnon or the far alt right crazy person, but it's true. Like what he's like, Gotham is a place where you can say like conspiracy theories like, well, the mayor doesn't run it, like Falcone's secretly the king, and
Well,
all
yeah,
this
it's
conspiracy
happening.
theory sounding stuff, and it's like, well, in Gotham it's true. It's really that bad. It's that bad. You can make up crazy shit. It turns out to be true.
Yeah, just make up any fucking theory. It's happening because it's
But
Gotham.
and the thing about Batman in this movie too is that there isn't it isn't a clear cut win. You know what I mean? There
No,
isn't like a definitive victory in the end. Falcone is killed by Riddler, and that's taken care of. But somebody's just going to take his place, and that is going to be probably Penguin,
well,
which is great. I
the
can't wait to see
most
that.
definitive win you get, I think, is Batman coming into the light, so to speak, right? Because at the end, we shift from a Batman, and it's very clearly like the cinematography, the way everything is shot, the way the movie, it's very explicit in showing you that Batman has gone from like the shadows to out in the open, and now he's helping and saving people. He's no
Well,
longer beating up criminals. What he's doing is helping the innocent, which
he's
is a
still going
very
to beat up
different
criminals
thought.
though, but
He's
not
still
as
going to beat
bad.
up criminals. You know that. You know that. But he's gone from, he pulls out the flare, and there's the whole thing where he's got the
Ah,
flare
yes.
behind him,
Yeah.
and he's walking towards the people that are trapped, and he's going to help them out. And
It's
there's
his
this
Jesus
moment.
moment.
It's this Jesus moment. All right. And then everyone's looking at him, and then Real there, the new mayor, she's like everyone's like, okay, it's happening, and that is the win. I think he goes
That's
from I am vengeance. Wife said he's going to be I am hope in the next movie. I don't know, but like
he's not going to say that though. I'm hope.
it does sound a bit corny, but no, he's changed. He's no longer vengeance. He's like I don't know what he is now.
It's a bit
He's
of
Batman.
vengeance. A little bit of vengeance.
Bit of vengeance, but he is yeah he he is the next generation now. He's moved on.
That's a great way to put it too when you said coming into the light, because it literally is at the end of the movie it's going into daytime, like it's the morning.
Mm.
And not only like is it like he's coming into the light that way, but like people can also see, everybody sees him like very plainly and up close, and there's no like, and Batman doesn't do, he does it once in the movie, he does it once in the entire movie where he does that bullshit thing where somebody's talking and they turn around, he's gone in like 2 seconds. Like how did he go that fast? They do it one time in the movie as a joke, and Gordon's like, I could accept it, but in the earlier in the movie where he punches Gordon, you actually see him running away, like getting out of dodge, right?
Yeah.
You barely ever see that, so it's exposing him in a way that you really haven't seen in a lot of other movies, and to have him like carry the girl to the stretcher and the helicopter goes away, and then to follow it up, I think it could have ended there, but to follow it up with saying goodbye to Catwoman, it's daytime, like when he's riding his bike, and it's the very very last shot of him riding the bike. It's it's not a nighttime thing. It's it's symbolic in that way. Did you know that the very end of that movie was like the first thing they ever shot, or one
Oh,
of the first
really?
things they ever shot? Yeah,
It's weird how fucking production works, isn't it?
because
See,
one of the very first set videos of that movie from like 2 years ago was
oh wow.
the stunt guy riding that bike in that area on
Okay.
that road. But anyway,
Father, he says, I like that Batman had an arc that wasn't an origin story, and that ended up being, and he ended up being a more heroic character than he was in the beginning. So yeah,
yeah.
that is great. We have to talk about the Batmobile scene. I do want to talk about it, and I want to contrast this so heavily with like the friggin' Batmobile scene from Batman v Superman, which is garbage.
Hmm.
It's just terrible. There's nothing good about it. So moving on, this was impeccable. I absolutely loved it. It was a chase scene that I absolutely adored. It felt realistic. I love the Batmobile. I love the take on it. Like the thing that wasn't realistic was like kind of, I guess, the jump through the explosion at the end. Like I don't know what's accomplishable in real life in that, maybe nothing, but it
A
felt
car can jump through flames.
a car can jump through flames. It's gonna be
Maybe
good enough
maybe
to
the
drive
tires
to
might be on fire. I
pull
don't
this
know.
off. I don't know,
Uh,
but it was really really good. And just this whole like, you can really feel the intensity of Penguin trying to get away, like through the whole thing. He's like fucking hell, and then he's clearly an insane person. This Penguin, like he's a gangster, he's a mob boss, he's clearly deranged. He's been through shit, like, but he's sitting there like looking at this rear view and thinking, God, this Batman guy, he's nuts.
and I'm sure a good few people die in that car chase scene for Batman to chase down a false lead. And people pointed out, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's right. Talking about like the no kill rule, he kind of does inadvertently, or
Yeah, I gue-
you can assume some people die through his actions.
yeah, I guess you could. I guess you could.
You can never avoid that.
I
Batman's
guess
gonna
you could
kill
be. I
somebody.
guess you could be very mean, but say that like in the grand scope of like Gotham, it's not that many people, and considering the good that he's making, like it's
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 one
like a
of the thing. It's
necessary
one of those things
evil,
they just brush
but
aside. They don't. They don't. Look at Batman. People talk about Batman Begins and how that's also a no kill Batman. I think in Batman Begins, I think he kills a couple of cops
probably.
because there's a car chase scene where the cop cars are like flying in the air and shit. And like doesn't seem like anybody's getting that out of that without a scratch. So.
Father, he says I prefer a more romanticized version of Batman than what we got, but I suppose they try to serve some of that up in the end.
I think this sequel. I think this sequel will contrast. I don't think we're gonna get the same kind of thing in a
No, I
sequel.
don't. As if like the way he's making films, this guy, I feel like he's gonna want to do almost like a different take, or like he's gonna want to just change it up. He doesn't want to do the same thing twice. The car chase was incredible in theater. Fantastic sound mixing and editing made me feel like the speed and impacts, even if I'm not crazy about the tight shots and quick cut style. Yeah, I think it all worked very, very well. Honestly, there was a lot of close ups, just in the movie in general.
I loved every visual
I have to
decision.
say hi,
Like
hi
from
Gary, how you
the
doing? Thank you for joining
hey,
us.
how's it going, Gary?
Michael Keaton is his Batman.
You're gonna have to wait till 2023 now to see more
Yeah,
Michael
Michael
Keaton.
Keaton's coming back in a garbage movie that will be The Flash, but he's
Well,
coming
how do you
back.
know it's garbage?
Oh,
You
come
know.
on.
But the I don't know about quick cuts. I mean, the cuts are paced just right. I think every shot. If you look at just like even like I can go back to the trailers which show like the best parts. You can you can just pause on like any shot and it's like everything's just so well framed. Like the way the Batmobile is framed. And I want to point out there's a Dolby YouTube channel and they did a 2-part discussion with Matt Reeves and the sound designers and stuff, and talked about like in great detail about sound design mostly, but other things too, about
Yeah,
like
that was a
how,
big deal. There was
how
even like a Dolby digital poster or something that came out. So
there was a deliberate choice on Matt Reeves's part to film most of the movie as if you were in the 70s and you only had 70s equipment. Not for the obviously there was modern techniques employed, but one of the things he talked about is the Batmobile chase scene. There's like literal mounted cameras that like shake when you got the close up on Pattinson and so to show that the car is moving even in close up because you're seeing the shaking or whatever.
Okay.
And like the shots on the side of showing the Batmobile in profile going down the road, it's kind of like it's like on a mount as opposed to like some kind of like really smooth kind of like drone shot or something like that. So everything's kind of like tight and mounted, which was supposed to give it like an old school Steve McQueen Bullet kind of feel.
Okay.
But it doesn't last long enough. I mean, it's it's satisfying, but it's short.
Wait,
And
the car chase?
because it's not that long.
It's a long car chase. I found it I found it appropriately
Well-
long to be honest with you.
It starts off in the warehouse and you get the rumble. I love the whole introduction to the Batmobile, and it's like this beast. And then Penguin goes off, and then there's a highway thing. They're on the wrong side of the road. That goes on for all of that's great. I'm not complaining. It's just I wanted more Batmobile stuff, which is good. It's a good sign that a lot of the stuff in the movie is so well executed that you're like, damn it, I wish there was more of that.
Yeah, that's always a great big positive. The Penguin scene, by the way, where he's being like interrogated and beat up / like by Gordon and it's
good.
so good. That's like his
Wow, no Espanol.
that's like his moment. He's really good in that. He's really good.
And the riddles are weird. It's like it comes to the conclusion. It's URL. Oh, it's what was the one where at the beginning is like, what is
I wouldn't
what
say-
does a liar do when he's dead? He
he lies still. Okay.
I knew that one. That was in something else. I don't know if it was a Batman show, but I've heard that before. And some of the riddles were pretty easy, like something justice. It's like
Well, that felt like
it's hard.
the He Lies Still felt like it felt like an homage to like real Riddler, like original Riddler kind of riddles, you know. Then the
Sean,
thumb drive-
you need to put a caption like the Batman spoilers because I don't think Gary knew we were talking.
I don't
about
think he cares.
spoilers.
I don't think he cares.
No. He said, "Okay, I'm off to avoid spoilers."
Oh, really? All right. Well, sorry, Gary. We're spoiling the movie, but I didn't think you cared about this particular.
It's ruined. It's ruined. now,
It's
Gary.
ruined for you. No, you can go on.
Actually, you know what you can do? You can watch every trailer and TV spot, and you'll get all the best parts of the movie.
The trailer round. Oh, yeah. I didn't get spoiled anything at all because I just don't watch them. But I understand what you mean.
I'm avoiding like Sonic 2. I'm not all that interested in seeing it, but I saw like half of one trailer. I'm like, nope. And there's a new trailer out, and people are like, it's so good. And there's a scene where they're snowboarding or something. I'm like, nope. I'm serious, Sean. I'm avoiding marketing of all kinds.
No, I mean,
I regretted watching the trailer for Better Call Saul.
well, I didn't see it. I don't want you to tell. The only thing that I have,
It
the only
shows
thing-
some stuff.
okay. Well, the only
I'm
thing
like,
that
I didn't
have
wanna
to
watch that.
I have to watch the Star Trek stuff because, like, obviously, I'm in a community that talks about it constantly. So if I don't, then I'm kind of like, and also I'm gonna be very honest. This is very mean, but I don't mind watching trailers for shit that I don't really care about being spoiled. Like, I don't feel like, and like Strange New Worlds is gonna be like an episodic thing, so I don't feel like it can spoil too much for me. If I see a trailer for like Discovery, I don't care. I really don't care if I get spoiled anything. But I actively tried to not watch like the trailer for like Multiverse of Madness. And I actively tried to not watch the No Way Home one, but then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch these things because if I don't watch them, the trailers will be spoiled for me.
And if
But,
and if you don't watch the trailers and something crazy happens in it, everybody's talking about that thing that happened in the trailer. So
yeah,
even though you haven't seen it, you get the idea of like, oh, I know a certain thing happens.
yeah.
So
But then I kind of disagree with you in that Far From like No Way Home. Sorry, in that No Way Home didn't reveal the big thing because Marvel has set a precedent now where they CG things in or out of trailers.
oh yeah,
And so the way that the specific shot was framed to have one small little Spider-Man in the inside of like a big frame here, and the shot lingers before he swings in, I was like, oh, so there's other Spider-Man in the same shot. You just CG'd them out. It was very obvious.
well, there are other Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh wait, what? Oh wait, what?
What? Damn it! I don't want to watch it now.
Also, people that were like, "No, it's not true. It's not gonna happen." It's like, come on, guys. Like, I can't believe people still actually believed that there would be like
I thought that movie was
none
gonna
of that.
suck. I thought it was gonna be just a big stupid gimmick. I didn't like Far From Home, so I
Okay,
thought No Way Home was gonna shit the bed. It completely didn't. And you know what? It's so great that we had
the
Spider-Man No Way Home,
Batman is a
and
better
then the
film.
Batman a couple of months later. It's
They
like
are
two
different
fucking
films.
awesome, two completely different
Completely different.
experiences, but two of them are like just so fucking awesome. Now, I would say that No Way Home wins out in general audience satisfaction because a lot of people are coming off this Batman movie and like, I don't like this and I don't like that. I'm like, I get it, but I liked this particular story. I
Yeah,
think for this story, everything makes total sense.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Um, I don't Superman and Lois on TV. You guys are still watching that? I'll have to get around to that
I watch it
eventually.
passively now. I'm not. When it first started,
Well,
I was like,
Father
I
says
love
that
this thing. I love this show. And now it's like, it's okay.
Father actively says that it's better than like the other CW shows that were in the
Oh,
Arrowverse.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hands
Okay.
down.
Okay.
Hands down. It's the
Okay.
best thing that's come out of the CWers. Easily.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to get around to
It's
watching that.
still fantastical, though. It starts off
Oh
very
well, yeah.
grounded and not that, like, out there. But as the show goes on, it gets more like,
Okay. So
oh,
season.
I see the grander CW universe here, even though it's not.
Okay. So the next season is like in outer space.
It doesn't take long for them to get into the grander science fiction elements of the
Okay.
comics.
Okay. I wanted to finish on the Batman by talking about, I guess, Andy Serkis. I think he was great. I'm always pleased to see Andy Serkis in a thing. Especially when he's not doing, like a VFX or creature acting, that kind of stuff. He's just being like Andy Serkis, right?
I
I
love the part where
I
he's
think
like,
he nailed his Alfred here. I think it was a very successful Alfred.
his best line was, and I found a diamond the size of a tangerine. And what is the other thing he says? Some men just want to watch the world burn. He doesn't say any of that. But I do like how he's like a no nonsense Alfred. He's like,
Yeah,
your family's legacy, blah blah blah. And he's like, you're not my dad, Alfred. Not a lot of them in the movie though. People have to be aware of that.
no, but he's
Well, I mean, if you're watching this, you've seen it. He's not in the movie that
he,
much.
he's in the like he's in the he's I guess he's in the life of Batman more than he is in this movie. But like, because you understand that he's the one that taught Bruce how to fight. Because at one moment he drops a line about that, and he says like, "If I taught you to fight for whatever, for this or that." You can tell that he's not trying to, and there's like a deep emotional connection there. I think where he's like really he's not trying to replace his father and everything, but he's doing his best to like help him. And then I love the whole like deep respect that he had for his father and how he clears up the misunderstanding about like he was a good man. This is what happened. He made a mistake. This is how it happened. This is how it unfolded. It's not, don't go thinking that your father had like someone executed.
And Falcone, yeah, Falcone did have him killed, right? Yeah. But here's the thing about that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Am I right about that? Falcone had his father killed because Thomas Wayne was going to rat on Falcone,
Yeah,
right?
basically, Thomas Wayne wants to. He asks Falcone to scare the reporter that was going to dig up shit about Martha,
Yeah.
who was having like mental issues, right? So, and he didn't. He was trying to protect his family. He was trying to protect his wife out of love. He didn't want his wife to, be trash talked in like the news and what have you. So he asked Falcone to scare the guy. Falcone, of course, uses this as an opportunity to murder the guy, and then he has leverage on Thomas.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Thomas, being the good guy, he says, "Well, I'm just gonna go and admit and say everything to the police, and then because I don't want this." So Falcone hasn't killed, or at least the leading theory is Falcone hasn't killed. It so happens that the two of them die following the decision of Thomas to go see the police. Maybe it is a random thug. Alfred doesn't know.
Yeah, it's like I'm glad they didn't have that flashback either of like showing it again.
No, but it was
Uh,
well done. You still have it technically in the story, the way they
well,
talk about it, the way they address it.
yeah, we don't need to see his parents getting shot again. We don't need to see the fucking pearls. We don't need to see them coming out of like Shrek 1. You know what I mean? Because that's what was it, 2001 it would have happened or something like that.
weren't
They come,
they at
come,
the opera house or something?
well, in some versions they're at an opera house. In other versions they're coming out of a movie theater.
Out of Shrek 1.
Mark of Zorro is the movie they're coming out of in, I think, a version of the comic book, and I think it's in Batman v Superman. Mark of Zorro is the one that, but in this one it would be more contemporary. Like, yeah, it's like that was a great movie. Mike Myers is so funny. I love Eddie Murphy as Donkey. Boom, dead. We didn't need to see it.
It cuts to like it's a slow mo of like a gun, and then the shot like fires, and then it just cuts to somebody wants, and you got the Shrek poster in the back. Oh no, we didn't need any of that. We didn't need it. It was fine, but it was well done. It was addressed. It was still addressed.
Yeah.
I don't want them to, and this is just a personal thing. I don't want them to further dive into Martha Wayne or Thomas Wayne in the next one. Like, I just want Bruce Wayne to like carry on the legacy or do what he has to do, but I don't want a whole. I especially don't want a whole reveal like, hey, one of them wasn't dead. I don't want something where they like go and they dig up and they uncover like, oh my god, Martha was like involved with this nurse that was Harley Quinn or some shit. You know what I mean? I don't want any of that kind of shit. Like, I just want it to be what it is, and then we move on.
Father, he has a comment at the bottom there. It's Nolan made it opera, but normally movies. Zorro in the comics. Snyder made it Excalibur. Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so Nolan
Excalibur is like 1980.
was Nolan like the first to make it the opera instead of the movies?
I probably got it from
And
1981.
it's
Excalibur. Excalibur came out, so like it's the Ben Affleck Bruce Wayne would have been 10 years old in 1981 or something.
Mm.
I wonder with the Joker, are they coming out of like Taxi Driver, the movie, or like The Godfather or something? But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so very good film. Let's pull up the little rating scale here, if I can find the fucking thing. So we can rate this, because that's what we do.
Too many jokes, too bright and bubbly,
Yeah,
too happy.
too happy a film, right?
What's with all the Christmas lights on the Batmobile? What's up with that? And Mr. Freeze with all those stupid lines.
Not enough multiverse, right?
Not enough multiverse. Where was Superman? Where was Wonder Woman?
I don't know. How did he manage?
Flash?
How did he win? How did he win without laser beams? I don't understand.
And how come he didn't jump around like a rubber CG character?
Where was the kryptonite suit? Okay, so where are you placing this on our scale from absolute bullshit to true greatness? Where do you place this movie?
Oh, I would say it was true. It's true greatness.
Okay, well, I agree.
It's on par with Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, which I think are the two best Batman films. I could watch it again and think it's like better than those, but it's really, really quite good. I think it's not only good, it's great. It's not only great, it's true greatness.
Yeah, it's if it's not true greatness, it's the damn closest thing you can get, on the great scale there. It's yeah, I think it's true greatness. Out of this scale, I would give it that. I had a lot of fun watching this. It was really good. And even I'm not the biggest fan, and I'm kind of this is why I asked you earlier. I'm kind of over the romance thing. I kind of over Catwoman as a character, just generally speaking. I felt that this movie managed to like deal with that very, very well. Their romance was romance. It was well executed. What's the matter?
I'm thinking of like all the shitty scenes of Batman and like Batman Forever, Batman Returns, like the sexual chemistry, for example, between Batman and Catwoman and Batman Returns. It's so on the nose, cheesy, and like in Batman Forever, where Nicole Kidman's like feeling his plastic abs, it's just like what's
Yeah.
underneath the cape, baby. It's like fuck off, really. I'm glad. And that's the thing: the romance or the sexual chemistry, whatever you want to call it, or the relationship between him and Catwoman is so well handled and tastefully. It's not like in the Batman the Killing Joke where he screws Batgirl. It's like, really? Come on, dude. It's
Okay.
it's tasteful and it's well handled. I could go for a little more romance in the next one, like Vicky Vale, like like her beauty disarms him or something like that. I don't
I
know.
don't necessarily care for romance like in movies that aren't specifically romantic. I do feel like her beauty disarmed him here because he's
Well, she is pretty hot, yeah.
but no, but I mean, wife pointed out that like clearly this guy doesn't give a shit about anything, but he immediately notices when she walks in the room. Like this girl here, he's like, oh,
It's
he's automatically interested. So there's
it's
like a spark there.
it's played very very subtly, and you really like if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't know either one of them liked each other. But when you're really looking at both of them in the same scene together, it's like I could just feel it. Like it's very palpable.
So yeah, true greatness. Father he gives the first 2 hours a good, and then the remaining 16 hours a bad or mediocre. He doesn't. What's going on with the last 16 hours? You don't like the.
I,
He
I
doesn't
knew
like
he
the
I knew
the
he wasn't
water
gonna
thing.
dig the movie while I was watching. I was like, I don't think Father is gonna like this.
Well, what is Fathery's favorite? Is it just the is it the Tim Burton one? Is it the Michael Keaton one?
I
Like
don't
the
know. I
first
would
one?
I would assume it's probably the first 1989 Batman. I have no idea. I've never asked him. I don't.
I don't know. Is it the 1960s one though?
Maybe it's the Dark Knight.
I don't think
Probably
it's the
Dark Knight.
Dark. Do you think it's the Dark? I don't know. Fathery, tell
So a
us.
lot of
I'm
people's favorites
intrigued now.
he also said this is better than the Killing Joke movie. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
I haven't seen it. I don't know if I should see that
a
actually.
video of paint drawing would be better than that movie.
Okay, the Nolan movies are the best, he says.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'm assuming he likes The Dark Knight the most because that's what most people go for. You go for Batman Begins.
Batman Begins and the Dark Knight Mask. He's also saying Mask of the Phantasm, which was the original Batman Begins. I
Okay.
remember watching that movie on VHS when I was a
Okay,
kid,
well
renting it
I have to see that. I
and
have to
not
see that.
liking it. I was like, "There's too much story." Like it wasn't like the Biff Bam Pow, no pun intended, that I wanted it to be. But Batman Mask of the Phantasm, a lot of people have completely overlooked that as a legitimate film, and it really is like in the top five Batman films.
Okay, well I'll have to see that. At the moment, and we're gonna finish on this, tie back to like months ago, if not years at this point, when we were watching through all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. We saw the three live action ones. No, what we saw the three originals, then the animated one, then
Everyone,
and then
every
the
one of
two
them.
reboot ones,
Yeah.
except the Batman v Ninja Turtles animated film.
Oh yeah,
And that has been on my list ever since.
that is a great movie.
I've started. I admit that I fell asleep last night, and this has nothing to do with the movie. It's just because I was shit like very very tired. But I've seen like about half of it. It's really good. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm halfway through that, and hopefully I'll be able to finish that maybe tonight. That's gonna go on the list, and that is definitely way better than anything that the DCEU have pumped out Batman related.
The Batman
And
Ninja
so
Turtles
after that,
movie is one of the best animated Batman things. A lot of them are, there's a good few of them that are good. Under the Red Hood is probably one of the best. I don't
okay,
know if you've seen that one.
well, no, I haven't seen any of the animated Batman films, none
Oh,
of them.
okay.
I know about like the animated show, but I've never really seen any episodes, and I know that the animated show apparently is very, very good.
A very overlooked, and it's old at this point. I think it's like from 2008, maybe
I
as
don't
far
mind.
back
I
as far
like
back.
watching gargoyles,
It's
right?
called Gotham Knights. It's an anthology,
Okay.
short stories done in very different animation styles. There's a what's funny about the DC animated universe has a lot of content out there. A lot of Batman movies have existed.
Mm,
Half of them are like complete like bores. Like Batman Year One is good. Under the Red Hood, Mask of Phantasm, which is old. But yeah, Ninja Batman, which is insane. Like you have to have a certain like level of tolerance for the absurd to really enjoy that.
okay.
It's a CG animated, looks like cell animation. It's Japanese anime. It's Batman and Robin and all the villains in feudal Japan
Okay, I'm not sold on that.
with
Oh my
with
god,
big kaiju's and
I
stuff.
forgot to ask you. Is the okay? We're gonna finish on this. I forgot to ask you. Is the kid that he saves in the beginning the guy that has the half Joker kind of paint? Is he Robin?
No,
What do you mean
no.
no?
So somebody on the internet was like, "That's Robin," and it's
Okay.
like, I don't see them doing a Robin in this version of Batman. I mean, if Nolan couldn't do it and his was grounded, like the most he could come up with is some bullshit like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Oh, your middle name is Robin at the end of the movie. It's like, well, that means nothing.
That's an Easter egg.
It's just a little Easter egg kind of. But could I mean
I could see this guy like
I don't
not
know.
adopting a kid, but taking a kid like that's completely lost like he was and trying to train him and help him, you know what I mean? I could
If they
see
could
that.
pull it off, man, I'd be impressed because
Okay.
that's a tricky thing to navigate. A grown
Okay.
ass man and a young supple boy. It's like what? See, at least with Batman Forever, the way they dealt with that was they had Robin be a full grown man.
Well, his father he wants to see everyone. He wants to see Robin, Batgirl, and Nightwing. Everyone. The whole goddamn thing.
But to have a Bruce Wayne adopt a child that's not his and he's a single man. I mean, yes, nowadays are more progressive in that sense, but people are like, what's up with that?
Mm.
People would snicker. I mean, that's the
So
whole.
he's
There's
not
a whole subtext with Batman
well,
and
well,
Robin,
he's not a child.
and
This kid from this young guy from the beginning though. He's not a child.
that's what I'm saying. Like the
I
tradition, the
feel like he was
traditional thing
Robin.
about him being a kid, his parents die in the circus, and then Bruce. That's something you can't do with a modern thing. Like you would have to have him be a young man.
Okay.
Otherwise, people are like, "What the fuck are you doing, Bruce Wayne?
What the fuck you doing? All right. Okay. Well,
What's up with that, man?"
hot take. It's not Robin. No, it was
No, I
never
don't think
Robin. It
so.
was just it
No.
was just me that was thinking. Like immediately when I saw him, and I was like, oh, he's hesitating. He doesn't want to. He's kind of inspired, I guess, kind of, or is
Well,
just
he has half the
Chuckles.
makeup, which means like he's not a full gang member, and like he's not fully into
No,
like
yeah. Well, he's not
the other.
completely like he's not
And now he probably never will be.
enlisted. No, he'll never be
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's not Two-Face either.
No, no. Oh my god! If somebody thought that because of the half face, I'm like, no, Jews, no. It's stupid.
All right, we've been at it for an hour and a half. Long discussion for a long movie, but it was a very good movie. Thank you so much for joining me and chatting with me. I always love these chats. Thank you to everyone that was in the audience. Uh, it was great to see so many people today, and I hope you had fun on the rewatch. If you're watching this on the rewatch, I apologize for the spoilers for so many movies, but that's just how it is. Please do accept this. There are spoilers.
Bruce Willis is a ghost the whole time.
What? Oh my goodness. Oh my god. You're talking about Die Hard, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, all right. There is no live long and prosper here, but there is, I don't know. Have a good day. See you later. Have a good one, and go see the Batman. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's worth it. Honestly, I absolutely recommend it.
it needs your money.
It needs your money.
It's struggling right now.
It's yeah. All right.
It's going to be on HBO Max soon too.